welcome back to Co-ople Mode, a couple's opinion on gaming. I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
And we're not in Albion anymore. No more.
Thank God.
Dogs barking at you. Dig up this spot. There's a.
I didn't mind
There's
that.
a fish buried in a cave underground for some reason.
Yeah.
Do you even remember that? Why did I dig this up?
Yeah,
That's what he said.
I was mad.
Yeah. No, we're gonna move on. And honestly, like,
So happy to move on.
look, I'm trying to find. I've been working slowly, sneaking them in throughout the years, trying to find RPGs you like and trying to mix it up, and it's just not happening. So I'm just gonna give in and tell you to play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, specifically Violet, because that's what we got. Now, I remember, I believe...
Pokemon!
So weird.
Yes.
RPG, SRPG, Pokemon. Woo! I think during our Arceus episode, Pokemon Legends Arceus, I think that was around the time Scarlet and Violet came out.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a buggy mess. And I do vaguely remember, and someone can tell me if I'm wrong, that like, we'll wait till they like iron out a lot of the bugs and then we'll make you play it. And we kind of just forgot about it.
Well, I did start it and like I basically just got through the very beginning of picking out my Pokemon and then being like, okay, here you go. And then it was the same problem that we have when we get a new game. A lot of the time our son wants to play.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I'll let him do his thing. And I never got a chance to pick her back up. And you had me play Arceus, and I was like, I'm happy with this. I'm fine. So I really enjoyed Arceus a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like that one.
That one's one I definitely want to go back to. We talked about last episode how the trading card game has had a revival / explosion in our house. And
Yeah, big time.
we've been having fun with that. And, it's like, okay, well, if we're going full Pokemon, let's go all the way and let's have you play the Pokemon game. Like, I'm going to freaking ride that fire now. You got it on the brain. We're going to just move on and use that to fuel my podcast. So, this game was released in November of 2022, which, year and a half ago now.
Wow.
So yeah, that's kind of crazy how fast that goes by. Obviously published by Nintendo and the Pokemon Company.
Game Freak.
And developed by Game Freak. Yep. Now, funnily, Game Freak has some lesser known games that you might not know, especially since in 2019, the director over there was like, hey, we wanted to increase our original game creation. Because like they've been making Pokemon, like they made Pokemon
They're
Red
tired
and
of
Blue.
looking at Pokemon.
Well,
aren't
like,
they?
I think a lot of the criticism that is levied against Game Freak is that they aren't always very original with their game.
Pony.
Yeah, and part of that is like, okay, they've only been able to make Pokemon for how many years? So I think this is a smart idea to like try to branch out and get more experience, because how can you make your game better if you only make the same game?
That's true. Yeah.
That doesn't always work out. So some of the games that they've made over the years is one called Harmonite Giga Record. Tempo the Badass Elephant was made by Game Freak, and I remember that it was kind of a little Contra-y style side scroller. I remember playing that. It was amusing. And then one that has kind of a bit of a cult following is called Pocket Card Jockey, which came out, I think, for the DS or 3DS. And it was like you did horse races, but it was a card game at the same time. And I've heard people who played this really like it. And I think they made like an updated version that you can get on the iOS store for Apple Arcade or something like that. But I think like that's an interesting style game that everybody I've heard
kind of
played
on the
it.
order of Monster Train a little bit.
Card
game,
yeah.
but you're doing...
Yeah, you're doing a horse
other
racing.
stuff there too. Yeah.
So,
okay.
And like part of me is like, oh man, I really should find this just to try this out, because it actually sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Then that I've talked about it.
I really seem to enjoy card games.
Yeah.
Really,
right.
Those seem to really hook me. Really.
Yeah, and that definitely seems like it's got the style of you're gonna kind of rinse and repeat, a little bit of roguelite-y, what I mean. So that sounds interesting. I'll have to see if I can't get a hold of that. And then they did this Little Town Hero, and I remember hearing about it, and I was excited for them to make something different that wasn't a Pokemon game. And I think a lot of these games that they made averaged somewhere in the 60s, mid to high 60s on Metacritic. So like not terrible, not great, right? But I saw that people who played Little Town Hero said that the battle system was interesting. It was something kind of different.
Okay.
So I should look into that too. It's this thing where it's like, I remember hearing about it leading up to release, and then I kind of forget about it. But I really hope Game Freak gets a chance to make more original IPs, because I really feel that's only going to make them stronger as a company, and stronger. It'll make Pokemon better in the future, I feel like, because they're actually trying something different. So now this is going to be an interesting episode, because I generally really, let's be honest, I upsell games a little bit because I'm trying to make sure
you don't even have to on
no
this
see
one.
In Pokemon I don't, so we're going to mix it up. So because of the mixed reviews of this game, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet got when it came out, it is actually the lowest rated mainline series game.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't
Just
surprise me.
from what I've seen.
Yeah, graphical glitches, poor performance, and like people really, like, especially when it came out, everyone remembers like it. Like, look, this is not the best looking Pokemon game, not the best looking game. People were comparing it to Legend of Zelda, even Pokemon Arceus, or the big one was the Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah.
That game runs on the Switch and it looks flippin' beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this is just another one of those, like, they never had to make a game like this, you know, like it.
Well, but they made Arceus.
They did.
And that's not perfect. Like, Arceus isn't great visually either, but it looks better than Violet.
I don't know if that's
Scarlet,
because I feel like the team was split up because they were working on both these games. They both came out the same year. Arceus came out earlier in the year, and then Scarlet and Violet came out later in the year.
Which I'm surprised they did that.
I really feel like if they focused the whole team on each game probably would have came out a little bit better.
It's just normally they don't want to flood the market with two in the same year.
I think
usually we have to wait a lot longer for Pokemon games. So
yeah.
I wonder why they chose to do that.
Well, they make a lot of Pokemon side games. There's the old dungeon crawler roguelites, the Pokemon Explorers, or like
Pokemon Snap, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're usually making them side games as well, along with the mainline game. So I think they just weren't sure if Legends was going to hit or not. And I think it hit well enough that hopefully we get another one.
I'm confused about that. Like, why wouldn't Legends hit? I mean, it's basically Pokemon, but a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked the Legends thing.
But some people are pretty attached to the OG way of doing it.
It wasn't different than that. Like, how was it? Because you don't go to a gym on a regular basis?
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference, really.
Well, just combat, like,
the combats?
when the Pokemon are fighting, you still have to watch out because your character also has health. Like, your character isn't safe, right?
Yeah,
and all
but
the
that
other
wasn't hard.
No, it wasn't. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, you had to watch out. You could get knocked out. Pokemon attacked your person, not just your Pokemon.
I don't know.
So
I didn't.
Not that it was like an intense, like, it wasn't Dark Souls. I mean,
oh my
you know
gosh,
what I mean?
no. I mean, it was such a small added element of, hey, just double check that you're going to be okay. It wasn't a big deal, though. Like, I don't feel like I got knocked out so much unless you go to an area that you really shouldn't
be in. It has like the big,
yet.
beefy, fiery one, or like the alpha Pokemon or whatever.
It didn't seem like a negative to me. That seemed like a good direction to take Pokemon games in general, because it's a little bit more realistic. I mean, not that we're looking for ultimate realism here, but it's a good added element in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would dislike that, I guess.
But I think when you're making a game as a company, as much as you might believe
games do change as they make new ones, though.
Yeah, but as much as you believe that a game might be successful, you never fully know. Even I think for the Pokemon games, they know the main lines are going to do well almost no matter what, to a certain extent.
It's a little unfair almost. Because, like, I mean...
But you got the following now. Like, it's hard to do it.
Well, yeah, it's like heroin. People just... we're always going to come back for more.
So, and I'll to make this point, So I'll start with the Metacritic for Scarlet and Violet is 72 and 71.
Okay.
Like, that's what it's sitting at. But the game still sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, right away. So
even if it sucks, we're all still going to play it.
So out of the mainline Pokemon series, I think Pokemon in general, Scarlet and Violet is sitting at third, selling over more than 24 million copies as of December 2023.
Okay, wow.
Sword and Shield is in second place at over 26 million as of December 2023. But here's the kicker. Red and Blue has sold over 31 million copies. And that's as of September 2023. That was the most recent I could find for that one.
Okay.
But here's a little bit of a kicker. Yellow has also sold 14.5 million. So that's still Generation 1.
Yeah.
You can't, so like, if you consider Generation 1 Kanto, it's sold over 45 million copies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of nuts how much people enjoy that. And like, how old is that game? I guess it's had a lot longer to keep selling games. So that makes sense.
It has, but there's like the perfect magic in that first game.
Yep. And that's not even including like Fire Red and Leaf Green, the remakes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The Game Boy Advance remakes. So it is kind of interesting to see. And looking this up, Yellow did come out before Gold and Silver. It came out.
Yeah. It
came out just before. And that's kind of what started you don't see it as much anymore because now we have DLC, right? Mm-hmm. For like Sword and Shield. But, anybody who's played Pokemon knows it was Red and Blue, and then there's Yellow where you can get everything. It was Gold and Silver, and then Platinum came out like a year later where you could get everything. Like, it isn't like nowadays where you can do all the online trading. Like, it was tough if you didn't have friends that played Pokemon back in the day.
There was no way you were going to fill out that Pokedex.
Oh, goodness me.
But back then, you had to have your Game Boy and the cables, and they had to have the opposite game. Well,
they didn't have to, but like if you wanted the different ones, yeah. But I do got to say, I am kind of glad that we steered away from that third installment bit. Because like...
Really?
Well, look, back in the day, I appreciated it because I didn't always have people to trade with, right?
Yeah.
I would get that. But... coming to now where you can trade online to get all that missing Pokedex stuff that you need, there isn't a real need to have a third game. I'd rather have DLC that gives me new stuff to explore in my game.
Not everybody has internet,
That's true. But
they
hard.
probably do if they have a Switch.
Probably, or at least have someplace they can go. Yeah. That's the thing.
That's
Switch
true.
is pretty portable.
Yep. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, in the day, but like it's hard. I already played through the game, and I generally didn't repeat playthroughs on Pokemon games that I played. So like
you didn't?
No, I did one good playthrough, and then I usually would go grind out my Pokedex, and then if I'd filled equivalent the local one essentially.
Start and replay.
I'd go back years later and start a new one, but I wouldn't like do it over and over. So like it wasn't like right away, but I would come back to it like a year later if I had the bug, right? Like the ones I played the most are Red and Blue and Fire Red and Leaf Green. I like Leaf Green because like it's green, my favorite color. And
Bulbasaur is awesome.
Yeah, and the art is just so clean. And then like the hard part about playing Red and Blue is like some of the systems didn't work exactly right because they packed that cartridge so full it didn't have enough memory to make things work exactly right. So like Kadabra was like way overpowered in that game because the stats didn't work right. Or there wasn't like certain moves didn't work right even though the Pokemon was the same type. It should have got an attack boost. Like there was little things like that people could cheat with, but I usually prefer playing Leaf Green if I have a need to go play that Gen 1 game. So gosh, we're gonna get so distracted on this episode.
It's gonna be a long episode.
So Scarlet and Violet, like it was open the first like fully not the first mainline Pokemon game that's fully open world, right?
Yeah, because
like,
Arceus is really open world too.
It is open world, but more open areas. It's hard. Like open world is it depends on how you define it. So I think generally speaking, if you call a game open world, you have to be able to go
anywhere at any time.
Yeah. So for Arceus, you do have to travel between areas, right? So it might
like
be considered
old school Monster Hunter.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
So you have that. So that was kind of the big thing. And a lot of people, when they talked about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that's what they praised. Like, I can just go wherever and I see the Pokemon running around. And that, like, I get that. That's kind of cool. Like,
yeah,
they're just running around doing their own thing.
That's what I loved about Arceus. Just Pokemon everywhere doing stuff.
Yep. And then the other big thing they did is usually in the other games is your main quest is to go to the gyms, collect the badges, go to the Pokemon League, fight the Elite Four, right, of the area. Mm-hmm. And then usually you're fighting off some gang in the meantime. You know, like there's some story happening along that route. In this one, it seems like you have kind of 3 mainline quests, and you can just tackle those however you want in whatever order. Like, it doesn't matter. And I think some of them combine at the end after you finish all the stuff. But I do think that's kind of interesting too, because like if I just want to do gym battling, I can just focus on that and screw everything else, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's up to me. And I do kind of appreciate that freedom after you get through I'm sure all the boring, slow story stuff in the beginning to get into that point. But it's like
Pokemon, it can't be that bad.
Yeah, it's the same
thing. Not
thing.
going to be 15 minutes long.
I've done it 8 times before, so I don't know. Like,
you can live. Even I'm willing to suffer through it.
And then they also did add some multiplayer in there that you can do where your buddies can run around the world same
with
time
you?
as you. Yeah.
Oh.
So if someone else has a Switch, you can run around the same world together.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know how well that works, or, you know, I haven't experienced that. We only got the one Switch and the one game, so we haven't had a real chance to like dig into that. I think our friends have a copy of the game. Maybe we'll see if they are interested in trying it out.
Because they were on this train probably a year ago.
Probably,
and they're like, you got to start playing it. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to wait.
I'm good. I'm going to wait till the bugs get ironed out.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of news about how bad it ran, and I saw a lot of things that made me think, I'm just going to sit over here and play Arceus. I'm good.
Yeah, and they've released, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Released regular updates over the last year. Though one caused a bad save bug that could delete your save at one point. So I do think it's a good idea we just waited it out, honestly.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?
Oh, that must have been terrible, and I feel so bad for those people. And like, it's an accident, and it happens.
Oh, I know, but like, I don't usually get upset about save files getting erased, but that would be one where it would feel really bad. I might not pick it up for a long time after that happens. That would suck.
Yep. So they started development on Scarlet and Violet in late 2019, right around when Sword and Shield came out. So they started working on this game almost immediately after Sword and Shield. And one of the big thing was the terrestrial Terra type Pokemon thing. That's the new special like Mega Evolution, Gigamax, whatever you want to call it. They like turn crystal, get a goofy hat, and they changes their type. Now, if this gives you any idea of how I feel about Terra type, that's just me. I'm still butthurt that they moved away from Mega Evolution, so don't mind me.
I enjoyed Gigamax Pokemon in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, there were some pretty cool ones with that. I like the idea of type changes happening, but Mega Evolution already dipped into that a little bit, where you would get a type change for certain Mega Evolutions, but it was like half a type change.
This is funny because it's something we're not going to agree on.
Yeah,
You are a diehard for Mega Evolutions, and I honestly feel like a diehard for the Gigamax Pokemon.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people that love that goofy hat and Crystal Pokemon. There's got to be, right?
That doesn't sound appealing, but I really appreciated how in Gigamax, like any Pokemon, you can Gigamax them, and in Mega Evolutions, there was only a few Pokemon that could do it.
I give you that.
And then you have to roll around with that freaking Pokemon in your party when you don't necessarily want them. And I'm sorry, but I got a lot of Pokemon I like, and I got to level guys up. I need that space. I need that slot for somebody else that I like more than you.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about that one. I didn't like it that much. I really didn't. It irritated me when I played. I don't want Lucario on my team. He's fine. I don't want him.
Oh, don't be dissing my boy Lucario.
No, he's great, but I don't want him on my team. I got other things I want. I have my favorites, and then there's new stuff that you want to try out.
Yeah. Yep.
I need all 6 slots open. Get out of here. And in Gigamax, I can have that. I can have my cake and eat it too. I appreciate that. Thank you, Game Freak.
Okay.
And you're wrong. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Last word.
That's a joke.
The other new thing that in Scarlet and Violet that they also added was the Paradox Pokemon. So depending on the version you got either future version of certain Pokemon or past version of some Pokemon.
So Scarlet is past and Violet is future?
Yes.
That's cool.
That's why you have the Iron Tusk rolling around, the big robot Donphan, essentially. Uh-huh. And then in Scarlet, I think it's like Ancient Tusk or like Mighty Tusk or something like that, which is like a woolly mammoth looking one, if I recall correctly. And I think like that's kind of a cool idea. I think that's interesting. And like you can get like a different version of maybe your favorite Pokemon, you know, and I think that's kind of cool. And then the other thing they did is they call it convergent evolution. So basically at some point in the past, these species split off. So there's Digletts and Dugtrios, but you can find Wiglets and Wugtrios, which are like water Digletts, you know. I think there's a Tentacruel and like a poison type land, like mossy poison Tentacruel. I can't remember what it's called. Toxicruel or something. Toadscruel. Yeah. So there's a few of those. And I think like part of me is like, are they running out of ideas? And another part of me is like, actually that kind of makes sense because that's real life. Like that happened, right? You know, like you get things that are similar but not quite the same, and it's like, okay, you're kind of fleshing it out, and you know what? I'm into that. Like, am I necessarily going to use those Pokemon? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't played the game yet, so don't ask me. This is one of the few that I haven't played yet, but I played enough Pokemon, guys. Come on, I can make Rose play this. Come on, guys. You understand. So a couple of the interesting things that I found out kind of looking into this is composing some of the music that has been featured in this game is Toby Fox. Now, for people who don't know Toby Fox is, might recognize some of the games he's made, like Undertale, and oh my gosh, why am I forgetting the other one? There's another really big one that has been releasing. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I spaced. But Undertale was this really interesting RPG game where you didn't necessarily have to kill your enemies. If you could figure out how to talk to them, or there was this dog, you kept petting him until his neck got long enough and then he just left you alone. Like you didn't have to kill your enemies as you go through the game.
I remember you talking about this game before, and that sounds interesting.
This game is very interesting, and like Undertale, I got about halfway through, and honestly, I think I might start that up again and try it again because it is such an interesting game. And even the sequel he's made is very interesting and in a similar style. Like he's always kind of telling a kind of story depending on what you're doing in the game. And I think that's interesting. And Megalomania is a very popular song. Almost everybody's heard this at some point. Also, Ed Sheeran released a song called Celestial in collaboration with the Pokemon Company, and that appears in this game.
Really?
So, like, some of the ads had this song, and Ed Sheeran's song, I think, is used in the game credits of this game.
That's wild.
Right?
Do you think he likes Pokemon? He plays
Pokemon?
Pokemon?
I'm sure. Yeah.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine.
Oh, you can't? Everybody, almost
I can't
everybody
imagine
does.
Ed Sheeran doing anything.
But writing music?
Yeah. It's hard to picture him sitting there with a Switch catching Pokemon.
I mean, come on. If you're on tour all the time, what are you going to be playing? A Switch?
Well, I can picture you doing that. I don't know. I can't picture him
I'm no Ed Sheeran, I guess.
No, it's this. I don't know. He seems so neutral about anything. It's hard to picture him liking or disliking anything. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
I guess.
He's like Taylor Swift. You're like, they're just perfect people walking around. Like, you don't think about them doing things, I guess.
That's such a...
Is that mean? I'm not trying to be mean.
It's not a mean way, but like, I can kind of see where you're coming from. But on the other hand, like, I'm like, well, they're still just people. Like,
no, I know.
But, and then, you know, they I think all the DLC now is out for Scarlet and Violet. And I've actually heard good things about this DLC. There's some new legendaries. They added more Paradox Pokemon in there, so you can find those too. And I've heard some people that were really against Scarlet and Violet in the beginning coming around because of the DLC. And the other thing I heard is this game does seem to... Well, Pokemon's always been slightly geared towards kids, and like part of it's geared toward us Generation 1 starters who have been playing it forever, right? And I think this game has felt like it's a little bit more geared towards kids, and kids will probably enjoy it more and not get so put off by it. But you know what? I'm going to have you play it and see what you think.
They're trying to get new blood.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, you got to get new blood. We've been playing it for 9 generations now, and... You got to get new people in it to build your player base, because some people are going to phase out, you know. That's just typical. It happens. But I actually am interested to see you put some time in and see what you think. And I'm sure I better not make this first half go too long, because I'm sure you're going to have lots to talk about.
Also, I mean, I just want to say, if Ed Sheeran does play Pokemon, that's really cool. And, you know, like... I feel bad. I hope I didn't say something stupid.
Oh my gosh. I love you so much.
It's just that I don't know anything about him. That's all. I don't
Ed Sheeran, if you're one of our listeners of our podcast, just leave a comment. Tell Rose it's okay that she feels like that, and that you do love Pokemon and you play Pokemon.
And you're cool because
you wrote a whole song about it. You're good.
Yeah, that's wild. I do wonder about that, like people that write songs specifically for games or movies that don't normally do that stuff. Like, is that harder than normal? Like, I can imagine writing like a rock song or a love song. I can imagine that. I can't imagine writing a song for Pokemon. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I love Pokemon, but
I don't know.
It would be so stupid if I tried. It would be so bad. It's just like Eevee's cute little face. She's so fluffy. You know, it'd be terrible.
Just Eevee love.
Well, you gotta talk about the other ones too, I suppose.
Yeah. We'll have a verse for each of Eevee's 9 evolutions. Whatever.
It's mostly like a song about friendship.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna
friendship
be about.
with your Eevees.
It's a Pokemon song.
All right. Let's go to Paldea, I think, if I remember.
Let's pick a Pokemon to start with.
Pick a Pokemon, and
I know who I'm gonna pick.
You know, do badass Pokemon shit, I guess. Let's go. We'll see you guys in the other half. Bye. Hello and welcome back from Paldea. Again, I have not played this game yet in this case.
Yeah. You know, you always do. And then this one, you're letting me jump in without having gone through it yourself. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wish you had played it so that you could experience and see some of this stuff. Because now I'm just going to end up giving you my opinions and you don't have any rationality to levy against me.
I will say this. Part of the reason I was kind of okay with this is because I have played, give or take, 8 generations of Pokemon. They're not all the
same. They're all different, slightly different.
Pokemon in new skins and new suits.
Every Pokemon is special.
Yeah.
No, they always change some mechanic in one way or another. They try to add things. They take out things. They do... in a small way, try to change things up. It doesn't always work out. So usually what they do change that people like, they're like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
No, that sucked. Nobody liked that. No, we liked it a lot. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They just kind of keep switching it out for different shitty things that we all don't like as much. That's how I feel about it.
It feels like, okay, anytime you have to like fix something, like fix a vehicle, any kind of machinery that's running. Like if it's not running right, when you go to fix it, you kind of replace one thing at a time to see if that's what's causing the problem. Because if you replace a bunch of things, you don't know what was the problem
well, if you're
originally.
Smart, you diagnose what the problem is
in the
before
first
you
place.
just start replacing stuff.
But that's what I mean. I feel like Pokemon does that. They're like, okay, this one wasn't 100% perfect. It was good, so we're gonna just start changing things. And like, there's no baseline to go off of. They just like, let's start throwing things out and taking things out and see what happens this time.
Yep,
like,
pretty much.
Hold on. There are things I liked.
That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah, which it's okay. And I've been like watching you play. I've been watching our son play, and it does look fun. I think I've just been. I have been playing some RPGs lately, so I haven't quite had like I need that RPG fix. And then we've been playing the card game a lot too, so I've been getting my Pokemon fix, but slowly it's getting to the point where like I'll probably start a game at some point here when I got some time.
We are Pokemon poisoned in this household right now.
Right now, it happened.
And I don't know when we're gonna recover from this sickness.
I need a 12-step program.
I might. I don't know what's worse, like the video game or the cards.
So I don't know what order you want to talk about things. You just go right ahead.
Well, and that's kind of hard. It's hard to pick out like where to start. I think the most important thing to understand about this Pokemon versus other ones is there are 3 main storylines in this one. And the whole point of this game is supposed to be open world concept. And you pick what storyline you want to work on, what order you want to do it in. This is a lie. And I will stand by that.
Okay.
Like, sure, you can go anywhere you want as long as you can get there. But there are things that stop you from getting there until you do certain things. And that's kind of fine, right? That doesn't mean that it's not an open world, right? Except the other main big problem that I have with that idea in Pokemon is they would have to change up the basic recipe of how we've always had Pokemon games, right? It's always been very linear. First gym, you're going to battle some level 20s maybe. Second gym, we're hitting the 30s, maybe high 30s, low 40s. It progresses in difficulty.
Yeah.
They kept the world like that. Like every area is a different difficulty. And inherently you can't go, like you can't have a party of like level 20 Pokemon and be like, I'm heading straight north to the snow mountains and we're going to battle some level 50 ice Pokemon. That's not going to happen. You're not going to make it.
30 level jumps a bit extreme.
You know what I mean? Like, and first of all, like I said, you can't get there right away. So there are roadblocks, but even without the roadblocks, you can get to areas that are like, I just can't be here right now. And while that's not the end of the world, you also add in the gyms all over and it's the same thing. So, I mean, I actually did them out of order technically, and I can very easily tell. The last gym I defeated was super easy.
Yeah.
The third to last gym I defeated was the hardest one. Okay. And it's like, and I did it, I got through it, but it kind of loses the excitement and the drive to go complete it even because you're like, well, I already just did the hardest thing, I can tell. Like I don't know. To me, I think they should have done it differently. If you're truly going to make a world open and you want that to work in Pokemon, you need to change it up where no matter what gym that person goes to, it's going to automatically correct to the right level that it should be for you at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just, they can't have specific areas with specific difficulties. They need to make the game where it will adjust to you to keep it challenging. That would have been a much, much, much better way to do it. It would have been a true like open world area to me. Because
you're talking about essentially a scaling difficulty. So as you progress in the game itself becomes harder. And I think that's a really cool idea.
Do that.
Yes. I think that's a really cool idea. I think Pokemon poses a unique problem when it comes with that.
How?
Because in your party, you're going to probably have your 2 or 3 like actual fighters, and then you're probably trying to evolve some other things, or like you have some low end stuff. How do you write a program that does that right? Because if someone's smart enough, like say it just goes by average level of your Pokemon, all right, throw a whole party of level 1s and throw your one level like 38 beefy starter Pokemon. You run into a gym, and the whole gym is a bunch of level 20s, and then you can just steamroll them with your strong Pokemon.
So the way to avoid that would be no matter what gym you go to first.
Yep.
It's gonna be the easiest gym, and then no matter what gym they pick as the second gym, it's gonna be the next normal level harder.
Yeah.
The third would be, so not necessarily based off of your Pokemon stats, but just based off of, hey, by the time you hit the 4th gym, the 6th gym, we all know by the last gym, you should be around level 60.
Okay.
That would be a way to fix that problem.
I see what you're saying. So just base it on the order you run into the gyms. Because like first gym is like you said, like what, 10 to 15. That's like usually first gym.
I think, yeah. I thought it was like low 20s. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got that, and then the next gym, 10 levels higher, and so on and so forth.
That's usually how it progresses, isn't it?
Yeah. So I could see that working pretty all right, because then if you run into it and your party's not up to snuff, what do you do like you do in every Pokemon game? Go run into the wild grass, or, the wide open fields, or whatever wherever you find Pokemon.
I think that would have made the gameplay feel better and would have made the storyline feel like more realistic, because it doesn't give you specific directions on where to go or where to be. So you know, if you can get there, like I said, on your Miraidon, you can go and snoop around. But the way I did it and the places that I went and then ended up ending at, it made the last part of this like kind of boring.
Yeah, just going through the motions.
Pokemon in the wild are like super low level, and not super, but they're lower level. They're not challenging. And then the gym isn't challenging. Like the last 2 gyms were just cakewalk. And it's kind of a downer. It doesn't help level up your Pokemon either, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, then you're just running around trying to catch things when you're 40 levels higher. So I actually
kind of screwed myself a little bit that way.
Yep.
I personally feel like if I had done these gyms and gone through these areas in the kind of correct order, my Pokemon would be stronger than what they are right now, because like I beefed them up pretty quickly in the middle, but now I'm just kind of coasting and I don't get the good XP. Like I had a short period of time where things were challenging, but obviously not too challenging because I got through it, right?
Yeah.
And now, so I think normally I just finished all the gyms this morning. I got to go to the league, right? Normally I would have Pokemon in like the 70s by now, and I only have one at level 72, and it's not like the end of the world. Like you said, I can run around. There's a lot of trainers around that you can battle with. That always gives you good XP, and I do appreciate that. They also you can run by them without battling them. You choose when to battle them, which is kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie, because there are times when you're like, there's so many items on the ground. I gotta go get all that. Dude, there are so many items on the ground in this game, actually.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at Pokemon or whatever. Like, sometimes you have a moment where you're like, not right now. Stay right there, guy. I'll be back for you later. And luckily, they always stay there. And you can't come back for them later. But it just kind of takes the intensity out of it and the what's it? That drive, which makes you feel good. You feel so pumped up, that
right level of challenge where you feel like you're accomplishing something, as opposed to just like,
I feel, I don't know. They should have, it seems like they're like, I don't know, people like open world games now. Let's just make this Pokemon open world. They'll like it. Like, they didn't think it through. They didn't think about how to make that work for their gameplay. They're just like, we're going to take open world and smash Pokemon against it with like 2 rocks. And that's what they get. And that's fine. It's going to all work. It's going to be great. And it's like, it's not really. I mean, second part of that is like, you have your gyms that you got to go battle. The second storyline is like, apparently at the academy, there's like kids that got bullied and they left and they made this Team Star group, and then they all have camps and they all run different types of Pokemon, and you got to go take down the camps and take down the leader. And it's That part is so corny and ridiculous. But
Take
like
down the kids who are emotionally abused in the academy.
yeah, so then like
That's so messed up.
it is. It's so silly.
Oh my goodness.
And like you go out to the first one and it's not a principal, they call it something different, but essentially a principal.
Yep.
Clavel, he comes out and he tries to disguise himself, which is very obviously him, and you know it. He's like, oh, I'm here to help you out. We got to figure out what's going on with these kids and get them back in school, you know?
Yep.
And then throughout the process, it's a story about how they got bullied and they weren't the ones bullying kids and they were just friends that needed a group. And, you know, it's all about friendship. Again,
Yeah.
Pokemon and friendship go hand in hand. Like
And
I said,
fighting.
yeah, with our animals. I don't get it. It's super corny. The system that they do in it is kind of interesting. Like, it's a little different, and I kind of appreciate that they have this aspect versus, like, you know, back in the old day, you'd have Team Rocket bases, and you just go in and fight a bunch of Team Rocket grunts.
Just wreck the whole
Right.
building full of people.
And in this game, you can do essentially like quick battles where you send out your Pokemon and they just kind of auto battle.
Yep.
And once they get low on health, they come running back to you. So these Team Star bases, that's what it's all about. You have 10 minutes. You get your first 3 Pokemon in your group, and you send them out, and you got to defeat 30 of their Pokemon in 10 minutes. Way too easy.
Yep.
10 minutes is way too long. If it takes you 10 minutes, you should not be there.
Yeah.
It takes me like 2. I mean, so it's kind of cool. Like, you have your 3 Pokemon, and you're sending them out, and you're just knocking out their Pokemon. And then at the end, once you do that, then you defeat the base's leader, which always ends with a giant like disco car that you're attacking that's a level 50, which is usually a pain in the ass. That's probably the most challenging fight that I've come across in this, is actually the Team Star ending bosses. That stupid car. It's a car. Mm-hmm. They stand on top of their car and they send out their Pokemon. Once you get through their Pokemon, now you got to battle the car. It's like it's a Pokemon car. I don't know. They all have like slightly different names, but it's just. They usually have some like kind of OP moves, I'm not gonna lie, and they can be challenging, so that's cool.
I don't know if this makes me want to play the game more or less.
It's
it
weird.
leaves me confused.
It's a little weird, but and like I said, it's kind of neat that they have 2 different ways of battling and playing Pokemon in this.
Yep.
I liked that. And then the third thing is you have this Miraidon that you've been given the care of, and you're trying to heal it because it doesn't have its powers. There are giant Titan Pokemon all over Paldea, and when you go and battle them and fight them, there's these special herbs that you find with another guy, Arvin. He's trying to heal his Mass Boss Chief because he's been sick and no Pokemon Center can help him. And so you get those herbs and it recovers Miraidon and Mass Boss Chief. Once you defeat all those Titans, like every time you defeat one, your Miraidon gets more powers and he can glide and he can jump. Oh, guess what? He can jump a little higher this time.
He could swim.
He can swim. He can dash, which, oh my God. The dash is the first thing you do in this game. Like, as soon as you're done at the academy with your starting Pokemon, just book your ass over to get the dash, because he moves so slow. It is deathly slow.
I will say that was funny because you were playing for a while and you weren't even focusing on the Titan Pokemon. You didn't know that's what
I didn't know how important it was.
Yeah, so the Titan Pokemon line is like, that's how you get all your movement options up. And so she shows me how slow this thing goes. I'm going to ride my big motorcycle Pokemon. It's as fast as you walk.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It is as fast as your character walks. It is absolutely useless at first. So, like, I like the element of upgrading your ride, essentially, and it all being one Pokemon that you don't.
Pokemon.
Yeah, you don't battle with him. That's just what he's there for. That's kind of nice. You don't have to, back in the old day, we had to have HMs and we had to have certain Pokemon in our parties to use those HMs. Like, it's kind of nice not to have to do that anymore. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. You don't have to have the HM Pokemon in your party that you always have to do everything.
because only certain ones can only learn certain HMs.
Yeah.
There's a branch in my way. I need this Oddish to cut it. I have to walk back to the last Poke Center I was at to change out my Oddish.
Yep.
So, as I was kind of getting to in the first place with this open world idea, you can't get at a certain point across the map until you have the high jump from Miraidon. Or at least the glide, and you got to get to some high point and hope you make it, because you don't glide for long. It's not fly, it's glide. You start falling and you fall faster and faster.
It does look like, it's not like, oh, I can glide, like, I mean, even nope. Super Mario 64, you could keep that going for a while. It looks like fall slowly. Yep, it doesn't look like glide.
So there is a little bit of gatekeeping to the areas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of good and bad because of what we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's interesting. I like the Titan aspect of the game. Like, it's fun to go see these ginormous Pokemon that are really challenging. And like, there was a Orthworm and a Doniphan, and there's...
Well, it was Iron Tusk, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
It was the Paradox version.
Yes. That part's pretty cool. I defeated all those first once I realized how important they were to getting around the world. I think if I ever played this again from the beginning, that would still be the first thing you do right away. It sucks to be in the first few areas and see stuff that you can't get to. That always drives me like crazy because I know I'm going to forget about it. A lot of games are like that, right? Like Batman Arkham Asylum is like that.
Oh, yeah, the Riddler trophies. Oh, my God.
You got to go back through stuff after you unlock new skills. That's not the worst thing in the world. Like, people love exploring. And honestly, when you're catching Pokemon, if you're trying to fill out your Pokedex, you're going to go back to areas a lot. So that's not the worst thing. So that's basically, I think I've covered the 3 main storylines pretty close.
Yeah, that pretty much covers, like, that's kind of what you're doing. That's the story. They didn't mix the story, like, it's not Team Rocket mixed with battling gyms, mixed with whatever else, whatever legendary is causing trouble in the world or whatever. It's like, hey, here's these 3 storylines. I think when you get to the end of a couple of them, it unlocks one more storyline for you to follow.
Yes, I'm at that point right now with all 3. So I did mention that the Titans unlock new skills for your Miraidon.
Yep.
The gyms, that's the normal thing. Every gym you defeat, now Pokemon at a higher level will listen to you and be easier to catch. The skill or the advantage of getting through the Team Star camps is that you can make more TMs. That's also new and different in this game. You can find TMs everywhere, but now every Pokemon that you battle or catch will drop a Pokemon item, and you collect them. You collect Pokemon materials now. Like a Sinistea will leave Sinistea chips, Psyduck will leave you Psyduck down, and some Pokemon even leave you their tears.
Oh,
it's messed up.
Fun. Let's collect this into my vial.
So
I got a Stanley Cup full of freaking Meryl tears or something.
Yeah. I know. The first time I saw that, I was like, really, guys? You've decided to go with Pokemon tears, huh? Okay. Like, some of these are really cute, and some of them are...
Well, hey, to be fair, in Monster Hunter, sometimes you beat up the monster so hard,
we want their tears.
It does drop a large monster tear. They are more jerks than Pokemon are. I will give them that.
We want those monsters to cry. I am always happy to collect a Monster Hunter tear, but not really a Pokemon tear.
They're so sweet and
They're so
cute. Most of them are.
So every Pokemon Center, you heal your Pokemon, you can buy some items, but you also have a third option now. You can make TMs with the materials that you've collected from Pokemon. I don't understand why this is there. I don't understand who would even make a TM. If you do, explain it to me, because in this world, as I said, there are so many items everywhere, and guess what? Like 70% of those items are TMs. There's TMs. I don't know how to express it enough. There are TMs fucking everywhere in this game. Plus, you get TMs from people after you battle them sometimes, like especially the Team Star victory at the end. They're like, oh, this is my favorite TM. You take it, you know? And gym leaders, like,
And you just slide that disc right into your Pokemon.
You just shove it down his throat with a hammer. Like, maybe if you have one move that you really love, and you're like, oh, this psychic move is the best. I want all my psychic Pokemon to know this. But who does that? Like, literally, who does that? The whole point is to have differences so that you can be the most hard to beat. So you got to have different skills.
All right.
It's upsetting.
Right. Yeah, I get it. But this is the thing. You've never tried to make a competitive Pokemon team. You've always just made your team based on how...
What do you mean? I make it I don't understand.
This is where I'm about to clarify before you get upset and beat me up.
I make a very strong, powerful, well-balanced team, actually.
I'm not saying you don't make a strong, balanced team, but here's the thing. Making a strong, balanced team is good for the game and the story and the campaign. Defeating almost anybody. Yeah, but if you take that online, you are going to get destroyed.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because people who go and play ranked matches online, they want those TMs because they are very specific on the exact moves that their Pokemon need to have. Their Pokemon needs to have the right nature. They have to raise it from level 1. The EVs have to be right. The IVs have to be right. Like, they min-max this Pokemon to do something. And each one, if you have a team, each one will do something to build to the next one so you can be prepared. It is kind of ridiculous how in-depth this go and how nuts the meta is. And I have been out of the meta for a long time. The last time was, oh my God, like 8 years ago, I think, 10 years ago, that I even kind of paid attention to it and I tried to make some ridiculous stuff. It is nuts what you see people do. I've seen... There's some, it's like a computer game somebody made where they put all the Pokemon in there and then you can just build your team how you want and then you just challenge people. So like it takes out all the grind of regular Pokemon because it's just about, hey, what kind of team can you build? I've seen a guy take a team of baby Pokemon and beat somebody who's like got all legendaries. He's like, oh, you're about to get wrecked. And he only lost one baby Pokemon and wrecked his whole legendary team because he knew how to build it. Like, and the dude was so sore and butthurt about it. Like, he was so mad. Oh my God, why would you? It's like, dude, well, you come in here like, I've got Mewtwo and Yveltal and all these big bad Pokemon. And then you get wrecked by a little Pichu and a
happening.
Yeah, right?
I feel like a little kid that just got schooled on how the real world works.
So that's why.
I don't know how to Pokemon after all.
Well, that's the thing. I enjoy Pokemon by playing the story. I'm not into that whole like competitive playing scene because I just want to play the game, catch. Like, I'm more about filling out the Pokedex. That's more fun for me. And so I don't really want to get into that nitty gritty because what that is finding Dittos with the right nature, getting eggs so you get the Pokemon you want with the right. Like, there's a whole thing. People will have basically a slew of Dittos with all the right natures that they need so they can use those Dittos to get the right natures out of the Pokemon that they actually want. There's a whole like breeding farm guide. There's all sorts of insane things out there. And most people won't know about that. Nobody, like, you're just playing Pokemon because I want a freaking Pikachu. I want, I want to level up my Dratini into a dragon, like my little chubby dragon friend. Like, you know what I mean? So it's funny that hearing you talk about that is like, why do you need all these TMs? And it's like, because the competitive people want it. Like, they have to still have that in there because those are the guys that are going to be playing that game constantly until the next one comes out, right? So they have to have that side in there, but also have to make it like, hey, your kids can start this game and play it and have fun.
Well, now that I know more, I actually decided that's really cool. Thank you for opening my eyes and explaining to me why that's needed.
Yeah, that's why it is. Like, a lot of those TMs probably aren't going to be used, but for the ones that are really useful and important, you can make damn sure those guys are going to want those and farm whatever Sinistes or whoever they need to get the TM they want.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that clears up a lot for me. I was really, I mean, pretty much the whole time I'm playing, I'm just, why can you make TMs in this game? Because there's TMs everywhere. I have so many in my bag. I don't get it. I get it now. Okay, well, that's cleared up.
Well, don't feel bad.
I feel a little
about
silly.
It. Well, like I said, like we've played versus matches like with each other's over the year. You know, with I think the last one was like when we had the red and blue and yellow on the 3DSs. We fought each other. That's like the last time we actually had a.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, that's how long ago it was when they came out for the remakes on the 3DS. But we've always just enjoyed playing it, and you and me are both in kind of the similar camp. We like collecting them. I want to evolve every Pokemon I can so I can have my Pokedex full.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also like want my favorite Pokemon to be the strongest.
Yep.
While also having a good variety so that I am challenging.
Yep.
Ugh. Okay. The other thing, besides there being TMs everywhere and other little items, like I did appreciate you can find evolution stones pretty frequently.
Oh, that's nice.
It is kind of nice. The only thing I'm going to say is I got unlucky and I found Eevees pretty early on. So I'm just catching a bunch of Eevees. I'm like, yes. I'm going to have all my evolutions. I got my Umbreon and Espeon and Sylveon right away. I got Jolteon. I actually caught a level 50 Jolteon. I got my Flareon finally. I found a Firestone. I could not find a leaf stone for the life of me. And I had an idea of like where that would probably be on the map. I get up there and there's a Leafeon walking around. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to catch you. It's fine. I give up. Ice Stone as well. I'm like, I cannot find one. I can't find one. Well, there's a big snow mountain. It's going to be over there.
Guess what? Glaceon.
Yeah. So I just caught her. Which, it's fine because by that time, it was like end of game kind of. I'm nearing the end. Yep. And it's like, I'm not going to waste this time trying to catch up this level 20 Eevee with the rest of y'all who are all in the 50s now.
Yeah, fair enough.
I saw our son has been playing, and he is pretty early on in this game, and he already has like 3 leaf stones, and he has not gone to the same area that I was in. I think he just got super lucky, and I think I got super unlucky because I have like a billion Thunderstones.
Yeah.
And Firestones, but yeah. So I was a little bit bummed about that, but I was also a little bit bummed about how often you see the evolutions out about in the wild. That kind of bums me out a little bit, and I know that's a little bit silly, but in past games they've always been really rare to see in evolved form.
Let me think about
and
that.
Really hard to catch. Like when you do see them, they are a pain in the butt.
Man, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how.
Sometimes, I mean, most of the time, I feel like I go through a Pokemon game and I don't see evolutions. I might see 1 or 2.
I feel like any game I've played, and this is just off the top of the dome, I think once you start hitting level 50s, then you'll start seeing evolutions out and about. But it only depends on like what the area is. You know what I mean? So like if you're in a cold area, yeah, you might see some Glaceons, but usually it's like, you know, Victory Road or the place right before that, and it's just like regular road. So you might see some Umbreons or some Espeons or something.
They're pretty common in this game. They're just kind of out walking around everywhere.
People love them so much, I guess.
Yeah,
and
that's cool. It takes a little bit of the fun out of it though, because I like the hard work of like needing to find the stone and needing, you know what I mean?
I'm
makes
stubborn
it a
that
little
way.
bit extra special.
Yeah, I like to evolve them all myself. That's my.
That kind of leads to the next feeling that I have about this game, and it's going to sound ridiculous.
Give it to me.
There's too many Pokemon, and I don't mean there's too many Pokemon to catch, because you can fill out like 400 Pokemon in this game, supposedly.
Yep.
It's not that. It's that there are too many Pokemon physically walking around out and about at all times.
So, okay. So just for clear reference, you feel like you can't get anywhere without getting into Pokemon battles, essentially.
I mean, you can swerve around them for the most part, but the rarity, there is no rarity in this game, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it not fun. You know how in past games, like if you saw a certain Pokemon, it was super exciting because you know you're only going to see this like 2-3 times if you're lucky to get a chance to catch that, you know, like the rarity of it is higher. Well, it's not an Oddish walking around. Like you see a million of those and you know that. So like you grab one and you're like, I'm good. I don't got to worry about Oddishes anymore.
For I got an exact reference for what you're talking about, because when you walk through the tall grass in old games, there's a % chance of what Pokemon you're going to run into in that area. So like Viridian Forest, the first forest in the first game, it's all full of like Caterpies and Metapods and Weedles and stuff, like some Pidgeys, like all that kind of stuff, right? In Oddishes. Oddishes are
a really rare chance you will see a Pikachu.
That's it. Pikachu's the rarest thing you can find in there. And I usually would spend, because I knew about it, I would spend a hell of a lot of time getting that Pikachu.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that, because I had played that game so much and I had never seen a Pikachu.
Yep.
Never. Yep. I didn't know you could get a Pikachu until I was like in my 20s. And you're like, if you keep looking around, you're going to get a Pikachu eventually. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And in that first gen, getting that electric Pokemon's a huge get that early.
Yes.
Because there's not many in that one.
No. And you have to wait a long time to get any. It's getting close to the end of the game.
Yeah, you're like the power plant's like the only other place they're running around, you know?
You're 3/4, if not more, at the end.
But yeah, so there's always... Every route you're on, there's usually a rare Pokemon that like is very hard to find, and you like unless you know about it, it's hard to get them.
Doesn't feel like that in this game
because you can
Scarlet
just look
and Violet.
Across the there they are.
So it's kind of funny because it's not so much that, and this kind of goes into the bugginess of this game in general.
Yep.
When you stand in an area, there's going to be a lot of groups of Pokemon. They kind of group up a lot of the time. And then there will be a few kind of loners milling about, right? You can literally not see very far into the distance. If you, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, if you were that character, like 20 yards in front of you, you're like, I don't see any Pokemon there. And there's like a bunch of, like, nothing pops up until you're right on top of it.
The draw distance is terrible.
It is. It's really, really bad. So when you have the dash on your Miraidon, if you're dashing around, you're not going to see any Pokemon, which that's fine. I get it. If you're trying to catch Pokemon, you should be going slow and looking around, right? But as soon as you stop, it takes a second. And then things will pop in.
Yeah.
And you can make a tight circle and loop, and things will pop out, pop in, pop out, pop in. And it's not the same Pokemon. It's different Pokemon.
Oh
the game keeps like, oh, we need Pokemon here. Oh, we need Pokemon here. And it'll be a different group.
That's ridiculous.
It's bad.
Oh, my goodness.
So, like, there is no rarity because the game's just constantly like, oh, my God, she moved 5 feet. We need Pokemon now.
So you can really cherry pick the Pokemon you want to get a lot easier.
Like, you go to an area and you're like, I'll just make this little loop here and I'm just going to keep farming, like, what you're going to throw at me. And then when I've caught them all, I'm done. And I don't have to fucking worry about looking around anymore.
And then I move all the way to the next area before I even worry about doing it again.
It's bad that way.
Oof.
But like I said, that kind of goes into the bugginess. You can kind of, what's the word? You can kind of
It technical limitations maybe that this game is able to do on the Switch.
Kind of take advantage of the bugginess a little bit. That's unfortunately.
Hey, I've done it before. Like I've taken advantages of loopholes. That's a way to put it.
Yeah,
like a glitch, not even a glitch, because the game is made to do it.
It just doesn't do it well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you're taking advantage of it not doing it well. Basically, yep, I get that. Speaking of technical limitations, how did you...
What?
Let's talk about... Because since we're kind of on that subject, how did you feel about how it looked?
I hated how it looked.
Yeah?
I hated it. And actually, that does remind me, I kind of wanted to load up Arceus and see how I felt about how that looked.
Yep.
Because... things always seem better in your memory, and it's sometimes good to like physically do it again and make sure. But to me, I feel like Arceus looked a little better than this one, but Arceus still didn't look great. Like, and I knew that at the time, but this one looks really bad, especially in the beginning area. Like I showed you because I was surprised at how bad it looked. The skins on like the rock walls and canyons is so repetitive and repeated so many times that it looks like a game out of the GameCube days. It
looks like they used a texture brush and it repeats so fast.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to swirl it around, it's just the same there's ways to get around making it look too obvious by like moving the next panel up or down, you know, mixing it up so it doesn't look so exact. But it's like, here's the same little dark spot swirl up like every 2 feet constantly in a straight line, and it's
Minecraft-esque. Minecraft-esque,
yeah,
isn't it?
But even Minecraft, like, oh
yeah, I know, even Minecraft has variety.
Does it better, yeah.
Like I said, with Pokemon popping up, the scaling on that, the land does that really badly too.
Yeah,
obviously. Yep. If you're booking it or flying, like things just kind of, boop, oh, I'm here now. Oop, there's a wall here. I've fallen into the ground and it's kind of messed up. When you can jump on Miraidon and climb like mountains and cliffs, Miraidon will think that it can grab something and then it gets stuck and it doesn't know where it is, and then you fall, and bugs like that happen a lot, which I think is a little extra funny because they literally made this Pokemon for this one specific purpose in this game, right? This is your mount and you get to ride him around, and they have made it very clear that there's a lot of verticality. You're supposed to be climbing these mountains. There's stuff up there. There's Pokemon. There are Pokemon on the side of mountains in this game. And at first I was like, wow, what were they thinking there? And then I realized that eventually I can go up there, right? But not really, because it doesn't work very well, because you didn't take the time to make sure that this would work. I mean, you would think that they would have tested it more and like fixed a lot of that. And this game has been out for quite a while. Also, you get to areas and there's a lot of stuff happening, like a lot of Pokemon are popping up. It starts lagging. I had that a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and it
rough.
really can't, it works so hard to catch up. It has a hard time.
So even after all the patches, like
I thought that would be better. And at first it didn't happen, but eventually it started happening kind of not super regularly, but
it just isn't
often.
I guess what's the word? It isn't optimized well enough to run. And here's the thing. My knowledge of game development is very small. There's no way in hell I could make a game half as good as Pokemon Scarlet or Violet. I know that, and I'm going to admit that right now. But I think it comes to this point when we've seen other publishers and even Nintendo themselves being able to make such full use of the Switch hardware, and with Game Freak basically being a subsidiary of Nintendo, they should have the resources to make this game as good as possible, to run as well as possible. And it's just kind of sad that it felt like that wasn't taken advantage of, I guess.
I feel like Sword and Shield ran a lot better. And Arceus too. Game. I don't remember having these problems with Arceus very much. There was a few moments I remember in Arceus where like I'd have a little hill and it would not let my character climb it. It would just
it was
slide
like
down.
The slow, weird climb.
I had the same exact issue in this one, in Violet. Same thing. Like character, little mound with an item on there, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab that. Nope, can't walk up there. It's like, okay, I'll get on my Miraidon to get up this 6-inch pile of dirt. Like, why, you guys? Why is this like this? This should not be like this.
Why are our 10-year-old's legs so weak?
Yeah. There's a lot of silly things like that in this game.
Goodness.
The environment, the way it looks, the way it feels, gameplay is disappointing. I knew that it was going to be, and that's why I didn't play this right away. I was like, I'm okay with Arceus, and I still love Sword and Shield, so I'm just gonna kind of
wait on it.
Yeah. I'm okay sitting over here for now. I mean, I'm glad I played this, but I don't understand why they won't take the time to make some of these things better, because it seems like they've taken less care with this one than what they did with the last two. It really does. Another thing that this has is the shiny caves where you go and battle a Pokemon, and we didn't talk about that yet.
Oh, okay.
Terrastalizing.
Oh, yeah.
We don't Gigamax anymore. We turn
into a gaudy crystal Pokemon. I still have mixed feelings about it. I will say this. In the card game, when you get a Terrestrialis Pokemon, even though they look stupid,
they're badass in the cards.
I think that's smart, because then you have like Rose has a deck with the Serena, right?
Yep.
That the terrestrials want. So she goes from a grass Pokemon to a water Pokemon. So if I'm using a fire deck and then all of a sudden she whips out this water Pokemon out of nowhere, it's like, oh shoot, I'm screwed. Like, I think that's kind of genius to turn that on its head. In the game, I just think it looks stupid and it doesn't matter most of the time.
Well, so this is a funny thing. Like, if we're going to talk about the looks of it, the cards look kind of badass. Like the Serena on the card looks cool and everything. And then you get to the video game and that they're like, oh, I'm going to tear my Pokemon. And it gets slightly bigger maybe, but it's mostly like it gets shiny and it gets a big shiny adornment on its head. And it's according to the type that it Terra styles too, it's always something really stupid. Like fighting Pokemon get a giant punching glove on their a boxing glove on their head. It's so dumb. Flying type, guess what you guys get? Balloons. You get balloons.
Oh, that's even worse.
Crystallized balloons floating on the top of your head. Hey, Earth ground style Pokemon, you know what you get? A half a dome of the planet Earth just on your head, like a helmet, like a really odd shaped, weird helmet that's styled to look like the Earth. It's so like it's so corny, and you're like, okay, are they just trying to like cater to little kids? But
it gotta be, right?
Yeah, but like at the same time, I'm like, I don't even think little kids would think this is cool though. Like this isn't like if you're 4 maybe. Well, but like a 10-year-old isn't gonna be like, wow, my Pokemon looks awesome.
I feel like it does two things. Like generally when you're playing Pokemon, you want your Pokemon to either look cool or look cute, right? Like it's usually one of those things in some way. And then you got this terrestrialized thing where, okay, my cool Pokemon now looks stupid. And then now my cute Pokemon has like this gaudy, awful jewelry on top of its head. And it's like, why are we doing that? I feel like it takes away the aesthetic of the Pokemon that they put all this time into.
It's so gaudy that it does take away the aesthetic completely, which in and of itself isn't a huge deal for a moment, for a battle, right? Mm-hmm. But it's kind of lame. Especially, I liked Gigamaxing. I thought that looked cool. The Pokemon gets huge, your moves get more powerful, and like you get special moves too. Like you can feel it. You're like, I am gonna wreck everybody now. Watch out. And in this one, you don't get that feeling at all. You Terra your Pokemon, they get a stupid shiny hat. You have all the same moves and you don't feel very powerful. And like going through it and hitting up those caves, you always fight a Terra Pokemon. Yep. I never ever Terra'd my Pokemon. I never had to. I could just defeat them normal.
Yep.
I mean, that's not because I was so over leveled. It's just they're not that much stronger at all. I think there was twice when I was like, I actually kind of need to do it now, but it was a type disadvantage. Yeah. Okay. Well, so it doesn't feel cool. You don't feel more powerful. Yeah. It's not fun that way. So it got to the point where the only reason that I was hitting up these caves was when you defeat them, you get a ton of items that you can sell. You usually get XP candies.
Yep, that's how it was with the Gigamax before too.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice. It's nice to have a way to farm candies, and especially in this game, there are so many Pokemon, and if you are trying to level up Pokemon,
oh yeah, just ease that a little
bit. That's a huge help. Because I caught a Dreepy at like level 20, and I'm like, I have a long way to go. Level 50 is a long way. I was stuffing that little dragon so full of candies. I got Dracloak, and I'm like, 10 more levels, baby, 10 more levels.
Just funneling in. Got a Tommy gun full of candy. Just eat it.
Finally got a Dragapult. And then I'm not kidding you. Like I got Dragapult level 60 and I walked to this area and there are level 50 Dreepies just everywhere. And I wanted to choke somebody.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, you have this? Well, let's throw this out here. You don't want him no more.
That's how I felt the whole game though. And that's what I mean about the rarity of the Pokemon. Like any time that I caught something and I'd work super hard to level it up, it would feel really useless because I'd hit a different spot and there it is. There's the leveled up version. There's been very few things that I've leveled up that I haven't seen out in the wild. Very little. Yeah. Most of them you can find. Interesting. That didn't used to be so common either.
No, there's a lot that you just wouldn't find in the wild for the most part. I think later games got a little better about it, but there's still just always like a handful of Pokemon. Like you just got to straight up evolve them, you know, other than the main starters. Those are usually, have you seen any of them running around?
No.
That's the only one then.
So that was kind of a bummer too. The other weird thing about the caves is I feel like in Sword and Shield, when they did that, you had a chance of seeing a Pokemon that was harder to find. And so that was exciting too, because you could catch them at the end.
Yeah.
If you win,
you get
right?
the like special Gigamax ones. Yeah.
On this one, it is always like the most common basic bitch Pokemon in those caves. And like, I just can't even do them anymore. Like, I'd like the XP candy, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't put myself through this again because it's so boring and it's so lame. And also the difficulty level of it goes from 1 to 3 stars. And at this point, like I said, my Pokemon right now on my team are like level 50s and 60s. I one hit almost all of these guys. So it just, there's this whole cutscene. You got to do all the stuff. And then it's just like, boom, it's done.
Yeah.
And you just kind of, you're like, God, it's not worth the work.
Yeah.
You guys, where are the harder level ones? Why does this only go to difficulty 3?
I don't know. I haven't played the game, so I can't tell you.
I find that weird, though.
That is weird.
You know, I mean, there should be harder ones. I was really hoping to come across like a level 4 one in the last few areas. And I have not. So that's a bummer. And yeah, when you don't even really feel like you run the risk or chance of coming across a rare Pokemon.
Yep.
You're like, ugh.
Just don't even feel like it's not worth it.
I gotta watch it get the stupid shiny thing on its head. And
yeah. Well,
go through all the things.
as we stated earlier on, we knew this was going to be a longer episode.
Yeah.
So I wanted to double check if there's anything really important you haven't got to say yet before we move on. And because I do want to kind of get your rating and if you think you're going to play this again as well. But I want you to finish because you got some good notes on this one. You
think so? Yeah. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a hater. I think if I had done this when it came out, I would have been so cranky about it because I had seen how it looked.
Yeah.
And I had been disappointed. So I really tried to give it like an open mind and a chance. I like it okay. It is definitely not. I love Arceus and Sword and Shield a lot more. Both of them are better than this one. I like that they have the 3 main storylines. And like I said, I wrapped those up this morning. So I'm at the point where I have the finishing end move to do on all 3 of them. I'll see how that goes. I kind of wish I had finished the whole game, but oh my gosh, I have really put my heart and soul into playing Pokemon, and I will say this is a big game. It's long.
Yeah, there's a lot to
I'm
it.
not trying to really rush through it, but I kind of rushed through this last little bit just to get as far as I could and to like cover all the areas at least a little bit so that I know, a good basic overall idea of everything.
Yeah.
I like that it's long. And then there's the DLC too. I mean, I could check that out.
Yep.
You've heard good things about that.
I have heard good things about that.
So maybe this is something that we'll come back to eventually just to kind of wrap it up. But
so, yeah. Okay. So you think, because you haven't quite finished the game, do you think you'll finish the game?
I'm so close to the end. I probably want to finish up at least like I said, I got to do the Pokemon League. The Team Star, once you defeat all those camps, you got to go meet the leader who helped you take them down or sent you to them, who was really the overall boss of all of them and their secret friend. I don't know. Some little kid drama. I got to do that. That's a battle. And then for the Titan thing, when you finish those up, you and Arvin are going to go into the crater in the center of the map. And there's supposed to be really big, strong, powerful Pokemon there. I want to go check that out and see what that's like.
Yep.
I'm kind of excited about that one the most because I'm like, ooh, big, strong, powerful Pokemon. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah,
but
I think it's like the Paradox Pokemon are in there.
I think it might be in that area.
Yep.
And I really want to go check it out, but I'm scared of getting disappointed. So I kind of keep hesitating because I'm like, what if I go and it's just stupid shit? I hope it's cool.
Yep.
It's probably the Paradox Pokemon, I think.
Yep.
So I should have tried to wrap that up this morning, but
that's okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I didn't want to rush through it either. I have played this game a lot, everyone. Don't even judge me. I know sometimes I don't put my best foot forward with playing games, but I really tried to play this one so much.
Yeah.
Whew, I'm a little burnt out, honestly.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it takes a lot to burn me out on Pokemon. But there's a part of me that's like, I could take a break, but I'm too close to the end where I got to wrap up a few things. So, anyways.
Then what's your rating out of 10? What do you give this one?
Oh, why didn't I think about that? I haven't thought about it. I always forget about that one important question.
How you described it to me sounds like you're in like the 7 range.
I was thinking like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Let's give it a 6.5. I don't even feel like it. I think I could give it a 7 if I finish up this main stuff and it's good.
Yep.
But since I don't know yet, we're going to give it a temporary 6.5 until updated.
So I would call this playable, and the parts that you enjoy about Pokemon you enjoy, but like some of the negative cons of this game have just detracted from the enjoyment of it.
Yeah, and it's not that every new thing they tried to do was bad and ruined it, because like I said, there's things about it that I like. The auto battling is kind of cool because you can do that when you're out and about just to level your stuff up. The only negative part to that is your Pokemon will not evolve if they level up auto battling to the evolution level. So you need to have a real battle for them to evolve. That's not the end of the world, but it's something to be aware of. Yeah. Because I didn't know that at first until you told me.
Yeah. When you're trying to fill out the Pokedex, it's like, what's happening?
If you're trying to make your Pokemon stronger, it can help, but you get less XP for it. I mean, to me, it's like, just do the thing. Yeah. You know, like there's times when it gets old and you're sick of it, but you get like twice as much XP if you just go through the motions and just do the
and usually like after
grind.
A certain part you're just like one hitting these guys, right? So it's like, okay, I'm taking twice as long, but I'm getting twice as much XP, and it's like, I don't know, we've been doing it that way for so long. I think
it's not so hard for you and I because we have done it that way.
We're just used to it.
To a newer person in the Pokemon world, they might be like, thank God that system sucked. And I don't disagree, it does, but like RPGs are like that though.
I can get how it would be nice if I'm like, I just want to run around and explore, and then like I still want to get some experience while I'm doing it. I'm fine with that.
The only time I find it advantageous is when there's like, because sometimes you just get like 2 big groups of Pokemon like spawning on top of each other, and there's an item in the center of them, and it's like, I don't want to deal with all of you guys.
I'm gonna auto battle so I can just run in there and run out.
And if you send out your Pokemon, they'll pick up items too. So I'm just like, Talonflame, go get that.
Yeah, that's good.
I gotta know what that is.
Well, all right.
Oh God, no, we can't be done. The sandwiches. I gotta talk about the sandwiches.
Okay. Yep. Late sandwich chick.
We gotta talk about the sandwiches. Okay. Oh man. Yeah. This is a 6. This game is a 6. Yep. I just remember the sandwiches.
Bring it down half a point.
Okay, so in Sword and Shield, you could do like a little picnic and feed your Pokemon and play with your Pokemon and pet your Pokemon. It's wonderful. It's great, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're going to have that in this one too.
Yep.
Fucking sucks. You have a picnic and at first, it's kind of funny. The tutorials and stuff in this game, like they were pretty standard, not overly around and like pushy.
Yep.
They weren't really annoying, but there was a lot of things where they're just like, we're not going to explain it to you. You'll figure it out. And like the picnicking was one of them.
Yep.
It's like, they'll get it. Yeah, and like even my son showed me things that I didn't know. So you can change like your tablecloth and the color of your cup, and like you got to go buy these items, and they aren't cheap either.
Yeah,
they'll be like $10,000-$20,000, and you got to go buy a new tablecloth.
I paid 20,000 gold. I beat up like 50 little kids for this money. I'm using this tablecloth
just to redecorate it. And as far as I understand, I don't think it matters. I think it's purely decorative, which is wild.
A bummer, yeah.
You can pull out a ball, which of course you can buy different balls too if you want to light more money on fire. You can play with your Pokemon. That's kind of cool. You guys like play soccer together. My son showed me you can wash your Pokemon. I didn't even realize that you could do that, but you can scrub them up, rinse them off. That actually gives you 30 XP, and it makes them happy as long as they like getting baths. If you have a pyroar and you get their hair wet, they're going to be mad at you. Which
funny.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that tracks.
I made that mistake.
It'd be like hosing down a Charmander's tail. They probably don't like that.
Probably wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
So at your picnic, you can choose to make a sandwich, okay? The ingredients that you get, like you can buy ingredients, and in the cities, there will be 5 different ingredient stores that you can go to that all have different things. It is so overwhelmingly large, the amount of different food you can get to make these stupid sandwiches.
Yeah.
When you decide to make a sandwich, you got to pick a recipe, or you can do freestyle. Now, these are supposed to help with, like, depending on what you put together, you might have egg power, level 1. Makes your eggs hatch better. I don't know. I don't know where to find that explanation. You could have teensy power, fairy type. Okay, so you're going to come across, like, tiny or fairy type Pokemon. I don't know why the fuck you want that.
I guess if you're trying to look for a specific Pokemon in the area, you might eat the food.
Like catching power, ghost type. Like, okay, it makes it a little bit easier to catch ghost Pokemon. That's cool. But like, so all different ingredients have different effects, right? And you usually get 3 effects for every sandwich you make. I don't have a problem with this. The problem that I have with this part is when you go to make a sandwich, you pick out the ingredients or you pick out the sandwich recipe, and it brings you to this screen, and you have your bottom sub piece there, and then all your ingredients are laid out in front of you, and there's a clock, and it's like 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes. And you have this giant Mario-style gloved hand that you're like picking up the food with. And
like a reverse claw game.
Yeah, picking up the food and laying it out on your sandwich, right? That doesn't sound so bad, but the way it feels, everybody, the way it feels is the problem. I am not kidding you. This feels like a mini game from Mario Party on the N64. Okay? It is bad. The way that you pick them up, and you don't get to move things. Like, once you let go of that button, they fall. And if they fall off your sandwich, that's just the way it is.
Nope, you don't pick them up and put them back.
You can't pick it up and put it back. And you only have 10 minutes. It's not that this is hard, but it's like, what is the point of this? Because it's so silly, and like, you're trying to make it unnecessarily stressful when, let's be honest, if somebody needs 10 minutes to put this sandwich together that has 3 pickles and 3 slices of cheese, because most of the recipes are like that. They're super simple and they're not complicated and it's pretty minimal work. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be playing video games. Maybe you're dead. Maybe you need a doctor checkup.
Yeah, where's the like puffin mix where you just throw in some berries and stir the pot and make sure it doesn't burn?
Yeah.
Like,
so then you put the top on. You have to pick out a toothpick to put in the middle, which is weird. Like, you can buy different toothpicks. I don't know why. Like, why am I spending money on this? Does the toothpick matter? Does it do something? I don't know. No, nothing has explained this to me. You stick it in the middle and it's like, wow, look at this sandwich. And like half of the time it'll be a
sub sandwich with 1 toothpick in the middle.
It'll be so shitty looking. So what it does is it loads up a screen where it's a 360 view circling your sandwich. And until you press the A button, it's just going to keep going forever until you press that button. You press that button and now you get this horrible cutscene of your sandwich in the sky, and it looks like
pantomiming eating it.
It looks like a YouTube video from 2006 that somebody edited that was a 12-year-old. The way they like bring your face up to take a bite over the sandwich, but you don't actually take a bite out of the sandwich. It's like over it. Like it's, you know what I'm saying? And your Pokemon show up in the background. You make some weird, sick looking faces like you're going to puke. And then all of a sudden you give a big smile and a thumbs up. Oh, the sandwich is great. Which, by the way, that too, no matter how shitty I make my sandwich, is always a 3-star sandwich. And I don't understand the grading scale. I have never once made a shitty sandwich, and I have tried.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And you forgot to mention the bread and all the ingredients for these sandwiches are hyper realistic, as opposed to the rest of the game, which is like really like a lot simpler looking. All these foods look just like realistic versions of the food for the most part. That's where all the processing power went, I bet, is into these foods that they have a physics based reverse claw game mini game, where that's how I That's how I make my sandwiches. I drop them from about 2 feet up. And if the lettuce touches the table, nope, that's gone. That lettuce is gone now. It's done.
It's so bad.
It's pretty terrible.
I know I got wound up, but I hope I got across like how bad it is. It's worth getting that wound up about. It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
It looks painful.
I don't understand who okayed that. I hate doing it, but I do once in a while. I don't care about like the powers, but you have a picnic with your Pokemon, you feed them, they get all healed up, and you get 100 experience for that. And beginning a game, 100 XP is very helpful.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't give a shit about XP that's at 100, but like,
no more picnics for you guys. Only battles.
no, only if they have like status effects and a little low on health, and there's not a close Poke Center, and I don't want to fly to a Poke Center because I'm busy exploring. Hell yeah, we're gonna have a picnic.
Yep.
Except the game won't let you have picnics sometimes in certain areas. That's another bug that I found.
This is a crappy picnic spot.
It literally is like they don't want a picnic here.
Yeah.
Like if you go on the desert, they're like, nope, we're not picnicking here. Which that's understandable. Yeah. But like I'll find a grassy area and try to set up a picnic and it'll go poof, like the picnic table appeared, but it's not there. It's not there. The game messed up. It's not there. And you can't find the table to go make the sandwich. So you're just like, I guess I'm done picnicking now, and
cool.
Another bug that we have. So that's always fun. But so that part, like I said, Sword and Shield had a similar mechanic that was done way, way better.
Yep.
Way, way better. And it was good. Like, I liked that in Sword and Shield. And I was always hoping that they would. I know I'm smacking the table. I'm so wound
She's
up.
So wound up right now.
I liked that they did that in Sword and Shield. I actually did that a lot. I took my time. It helps build friendship with your Pokemon, yes, which is really good. And it does in this game, too. And there's a lot of Pokemon in this one that evolve from happiness and love and friendship,
Yeah.
But they took it and they made it shittier. And I can't understand why. Why would you do that, you guys? Why would you take it and make it worse? It was good. Even if it was exactly the same, that would have been okay. I wouldn't have thought like, oh, this sucks.
It goes back to what I said at the beginning of this half of the episode, of where it feels like they take stuff out and put new stuff in. Like they have there's like no metric for what they're taking out and putting in. And I don't know, maybe over in Japan, like there was people complaining about certain things over there that we aren't complaining over here in the West. I mean, that's possible. I don't know, but it just feels like they just pick and choose willy-nilly and like, get rid of this, throw this in, we'll see what happens. And I'm not here for it anymore. I'm sorry.
I was talking to my buddy and he asked me what I thought of this game so far. And I was like, I told him a couple things and then I was like, and then the sandwiches. And he said, I know, I don't even know what that's about. I didn't even do that shit. Like, it was so bad that he didn't even mess around with it.
Yep.
So it's a disadvantage to them to make it so shitty, to have no explanations of how like all the different things that you can do at that picnic setting work. And I mean, he never even wasted his time with it.
Yep.
It's not that he couldn't play the game, but like if you put stuff in a game, you want people to do it, right?
Yeah.
Don't make it so bad that they don't want to do it.
That's the thing. Like there's a difference between making something challenging and making something just a pain in the ass. Yep. And I think like this is just uncomfortable. It's not fun to play. Why would I do this? And I'm not saying like this has to be a centerpiece, like great mini game that could be its own game. It just has to be like somewhat enjoyable or you feel like you're doing something. And if it's not doing that, why is it in the game?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on now because that was our sandwich rant.
I can't believe I almost forgot about the sandwich.
That was good. We almost missed out on
Definitely the most upsetting part of the game.
I'd ask you if you were playing anything else, but I'm pretty sure all you were playing was Pokemon during this time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Pokemon cards.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I've done with my life.
Well, before I talk about what I was playing, I do have an announcement that I don't think you know about.
Oh. What?
Pokemon announced a new game coming out. I think it'll be coming out next year.
I'm too mad about the sandwiches. I don't know if I'm excited.
It's a new Pokemon Legends game.
Oh, really? Good.
Z-A is what it's going to be called. And I'm actually excited. Okay.
Is there a trailer?
There is a trailer.
Oh, well,
but you can't, it's like it's an announcement trailer. So you're not really getting much gameplay, you know?
Sure.
So I don't know if you remember X and Y very much, but it really took place around this big city that you could go in and out of the different areas. And that's kind of, how you went around. But that's the first game that had Mega Evolutions in it. And it looks like it's a much more modern Pokemon Legends game.
That's why you're so excited.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, Mega Evolution's back, baby. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I am cautiously optimistic about this. And I think it's funny because I believe in the first half we were talking about like, oh man, I hope they do make another Legends game. Yes. And all of a sudden, in the interim between us recording the first and second half, guess what? Pokemon Legends got announced. And anybody who listens to my TikToks, I also made a TikTok about the old Battlefront 2 game, not the EA one, about the Galactic Conquest and how much I like that, and I wish they brought that to the new one. Freaking Nintendo did a little direct, and guess what? Like, it's coming out on PC and like Nintendo Switch. The Battlefront collection, they're putting both the original Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2 into a collection that you can buy with up to 64-player online multiplayer, which is like a huge group.
Yeah.
And like, guess what? All that stuff's going to be back and you can play it now, which is funny because I still have like my original copy of Battlefront 2 on the PC. That's usually how I play it when I got the itch, you know, but it's like, okay, have I finally spoke enough words into the ether to make these things a reality? Because two of those, like once in a while is like one thing, but two things happening in a week is insane.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Start talking about Child of Light a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? Can you just put that out into the
please,
world
Ubisoft.
since you're Magic now?
Oh yeah, I would love another Child of Light. That one was a really cool. I would. Game. You know what would be, I think would be interesting about that, and I know we're getting off top. We talked about sandwiches for too long, and I need something, a palate cleanser. Child of Light is done in such an interesting way and how the story was done. I think they could dip into other kinds of mythology and like keep a similar but different vibe. You know what I mean? Like there's so many cultures you could kind of pull from, where I think they kind of pulled a little. It
wasn't really
like, it was like a fairy tale thing, right?
Yeah,
but
with like an evil stepmom and the sisters. Yeah.
But I feel like they could pull from another story type and really make something very interesting again. And I don't know. It would be really cool.
I think another fairy tale type that could work really well.
Yeah, right?
That was such a classic, though.
It was really good.
They did it so good.
I don't know anybody who's played that said, like, it was bad. Like, at worst, I think people are like, it just wasn't quite my thing. But if RPGs aren't your thing in general, like, I don't expect that to do. But I know how well you liked it. And I think it was just like, you really appreciate the strategic way battles are done.
Strategy, the art is beautiful, the music's beautiful, the story is good. Like that's an RPG where the first time through, like I paid attention to the story because I liked it. It was good and there wasn't too much. Second and third playthrough, I was like, okay, smashing the A button. I know all this already.
I did this.
But like there's even a twist in it. Like that was a really damn well done RPG. Wonderful. So start talking about that.
Okay.
Make a TikTok about it.
I'll make a TikTok about Child of Light because honestly, it deserves people to know about it.
Do you know why Hypno is so energetic?
Hypno is so energetic. Why is Hypno so energetic?
Come on, think about it. Think about it.
Just give it to me.
Because he's not drowsy anymore.
Oh my gosh. Facts. True.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think we'll move right along. I talked about what I'm playing Tales of Arise on TikTok. If you're interested in that, just check out our TikTok. It's Co-ople mode. You can find it. I jabber on there sometimes. So I want to thank you, our listeners, because you're my favorite people. in the whole world. And there's a lot of people in the world. And I want to tell you, I appreciate you for that.
Wow, you guys are really up there on the list. I feel like I've done a lot for a long time, and you guys just kind of rocking it up.
You're still number one ranking.
I feel like an employee that's worked at a business for 4 years and found out the new guy after 3 months is making as much as me.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding.
Please leave follow, like, comment. We got a little section. Tell us what you think about the episode. Tell us what games you want Rose to play, or run over on TikTok and holler on whatever video's most recent at me. I'll probably see that more often. Thank Brother Ray for our caricatures. Appreciate you. And we will get the hell out of here so you can get on with your life, because this Pokemon episode went out about as long as we expected. I'm Matt.
I'm Rose.
I almost forgot my name. This has been Co-ople Mode. You keep gaming with your bestie. Ta-ta!